Most of the time, I'm happy to keep my head down, mind my own business, and stick to this tiny little corner of the internet. I fly mostly under the radar, but I'm gratified by the number of subscribers that I do have, and I love the fact that I get to talk about books, something that I already love doing. And I'm grateful for everyone that checks in periodically to see what I've been up to. But every so often, it pays to maybe stick your head up into the air, take a look around, and assess what's going on in the larger world of BookTube. So that's what this is. First off, congratulations to Robert over at Barter Hordes for announcing this year's winner of the inaugural BookTube Prize. Now, if you're not familiar with the BookTube Prize, this is open to any English language book published in the United States in 2018. This was started way back in January with the first cohort of 48 books. We'd have great reads like Ling Ma's Severance, Sigrid Nunes' The Friend, Sarah Perry's Melmoth, and Anna Burns' Milkman, all of which failed to make it past the first round. We'd soon go on to lose Rebecca Mackay's The Great Believers, Lenny Zumas's Red Clocks, Madeline Miller's Circe, which, shock and dismay, frankly was my favorite to go all the way and win the first inaugural BookTube Prize, but oh well, and R.O. Kwanzi and Incendiaries all ousted in the quarterfinals. And then we would lose top-selling fiction book of the year, Delia Owens' Where the Crawdad Sings, Oprah Winfrey's book club pick, Tyree Jones' American Marriage, and the confusing to me as the Edusian Washington Black. Just couldn't make the final cut. But that just gives you an idea of the sheer quality of books in contention for this year's prize. There are some fantastic reads in that bunch. Now, the final three, in no particular order, ended up being A Place for Us by Fatima Farhin Mirza, Ladder to the Sky by John Boyne, and Happiness by Aminata Forna. Now, I might quibble with the final ranking of those three books, but I thought all three were absolutely fantastic reads. Now, I'll link to the award ceremony down below where Robert managed to get some booktubers to come join him for that final award ceremony and do some much needed book shopping as well. I love the top three books of the BookTube Prize and most of the long list. And this is in a world where the National Book Prize gives the nod to Marlon James's Black Leopard, Red Wolf and Susan Choi's Trust Exercise, which I thought were both kind of okay, I guess. Maybe they're just above me. And then the Nobel Prize for Literature, hot off the heels of a sexual assault scandal, decides to award the 2019 Prize for Literature to genocidal dictator Besti Peter Handke. I like the BookTube Prize. I find the process fairly transparent, and yes, I guess the books do tend towards what Literary BookTube likes. It's a cohort of readers that's more excited about Lucy Ellmann's Ducks Newburyport than the latest novel from John le Carré, but that's fine, totally fine. The thing is, this year, Robert is already looking for next year's cohort of judges. And so if you're interested, this is what it entails. You'll be asked to read 6 books in a 2-month span. And at the end of that 2 months, rate them from 1 to 6. No ties. Now, there are 4 rounds, and judges can apply for any one round or all 4, with the octafinals in February, March, the quarterfinals in April, May, the semifinals in June, July, and the finals in August and September. And while having a BookTube channel or a book blog is highly encouraged, it isn't necessary. But if you don't, you do need to be active in the bookish community, a frequent commenter, and maybe active on Twitter and social media. Anyway, he is looking at getting a whole bunch of judges, so I'll have a link to the application form down below. And even more ambitious for 2020, Robert would like to add a non-fiction prize to the BookTube Prize. For that to happen, he needs 40 judges for fiction and 40 judges for non-fiction for that first round. So if you are at all interested, check out the link, fill out the application, and come join us. It is a lot of fun. And a word of warning, if you are going to do fiction, you may want to start Ducks Newburyport now and get through that 1,000-page book, plus it will likely make the list. So, what else is going on in the larger world of BookTube? Well, do you remember that micromanaged marketing exercise that was Michelle Obama on BookTube back in March? The video is still sitting at about 1.5 million views, which in BookTube terms is downright viral. Well, YouTube Originals is back at it again with BookTube. That's right, they called it BookTube. I mean, it's a good thing they own the platform that this is being shown on, so they can tweak the algorithm so their video actually shows up at the top of search results for people searching BookTube. Heaven forbid they come up with an original name. Like, what is this algorithm going to look like when BookTube has a couple videos under its belt? The smaller creators are just going to get pushed down into the second or third page. I mean, the very least they could have done is named it something original, like YTO Book Club or something, but maybe BookTube will introduce a whole new cohort of people to the idea that BookTube is something larger than this YouTube original show. And again, for a genre that has been proudly defined by YA stans, I find the initial cohort of authors for the YouTube originals BookTube to be a little off. Margaret Atwood, Malcolm Gladwell, yay Canadians! Big names, big draws, certainly recognizable, but I guarantee you the top 20 booktubers by subscriber count have never reviewed a single one of their books. And James Patterson and Melinda Gates, I don't think the top 1,000 booktubers have even touched one of their books. It's fine, based on book sales, makes sense, but there's that whiff of commercialism. YouTube Originals is creating content that is safe for advertisers. Individual content creators are a messy, fickle bunch liable to have political views, thoughts about the situation in China, use the occasional bad word, disparage certain brands, or potentially embarrass future advertisers. YouTube Originals, by creating its own content, can point potential advertisers to safe, perfectly vetted content backed up with precise demographic information. So once again, you have this tightly controlled piece of marketing content. And I suspect as a result, the content creators that are involved will have everything that they output associated with BookTube tightly controlled and vetted by the YouTube mothership, which is a shame because it sort of goes against the DIY aesthetic that is YouTube. But fine, maybe that is just how the game is played. Fine. Fail fast, fail often. You got to appreciate they are trying something new and they're taking another kick at the can. I just hope they give it time to find its legs. We here on BookTube know that the overnight sensations are few and far between, and most booktubers need a bit of time to find their audience, so I hope they give this enough time to find its audience. Now, also interesting, of the initial cohort of interviewers, Jenna over at BiblioFilth on the Discord helpfully put together a list of those people that were shown in that trailer. Of the 11 Fiverr booktubers, we've got Ariel Brissett, Sasha over at Book Utopia, my girl Amarie, and nice to see Anaya Reads and Smile join the crew. But we also have those outside of the BookTube community, including Danielle at The Origin of Everything, Derek at Veritasium, Evelyn of the Internets, and lifestyle vlogger Ingrid Nilsson. So a nice mix. I think I like that. Anyway, we will see what this ends up being, and if they can sort of course correct as they go along. I worry that it is just going to be a super packaged, sanitized marketing piece of fluff. We need to tread that line pretty carefully, and I hope that they can do this. I am still interested to see what happens with this, and you can check it out yourself on October 17th. So we'll see what happens. It is an interesting time for books, with Oprah relaunching her book club on Apple TV, the rise of celebrity book clubs, and Jenna Bush Hager throwing some serious bookish weight around on the Today Show. So maybe books are slowly becoming part of the larger cultural zeitgeist, and YouTube Originals BookTube is just tapping into that. But I'm still curious as to who does a large group talking about a single book well. Does that even exist? Anyway, I guess we'll all see how YouTube Originals tackles that shortly. But in the meantime, what do you hope to see? What would you do if you were tasked with something like this? And what questions would you ask an author? What would you like to see this format look like? I haven't quite figured that out myself. In the meantime, I hope you all have a great week of reading, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.